Good day. As you know, I am Kaylin, and today we're going to be discussing the option of adding new users to CSTime, and then also setting the various access rights for them to certain screens, or per a group, for argument's sake, who may see what. So if we move over to the configuration module, we need to go and configure a new user first. So if we go then to our tools menu, and then to browse users, you will see that it has a list of the current users that you have here. Now, what it is important for you to remember is, if you'll see at the top of my screen, I'm in the configuration module. So whenever I'm adding a user here, I'm configuring the access rights or the user, for the configuration module. Although you will see the same user, you will see in the user module as well. You need to go and give that user access to the user module. So what I'm going to do is, because I want to focus on the user module, adding it there. So I'm going to close this. I'm going to move over to our user module, and then we're going to go back to Tools, Browse Users, and we're going to go and add a new user there. Obviously, you can fill in your information there then, for the specific user, the details for that. And then I'm just going to make my login name slightly shorter. Now, what you need to remember is your login code, or the login name there, is going to then also, you'll see there's only one field there. The password will also be the same the first time you log in, unless you go and change that obviously afterwards. So in this case, if I make my login K, my password will also be K until I go and change that then. You'll see there's a option for filter groups. In a forthcoming video, we're going to discuss filter groups and lookup filters, which I will explain a little bit more into detail what this is. But in a nutshell, you are actually specifying there which users, employees they may see there. But we'll discuss that in more detail. You can put in an email address for this user as well if you need to, and then you're going to set the level for this user. So is this an administrator, is it an operator, or do they not have any access to this at all? So your operators, for argument's sake, won't have any access to your configuration module. So if you had to add them here as an operator, and you move over to your configuration module. So let's just do that. You move over to your configuration module. You will see that that user doesn't have any access. So the name is added here, but the level is set to no access. So that's why I say you would need to, if they need to have access to the config, or then vice versa, depending on how you're doing that, you need to go and set that information in each module. Okay, so in our user module, we've gone and added a new user. It's as simple as that. If I need to just go and test this to see if I can actually log in, I am just going to do this, and I'm going to close. I'm going to leave the configuration open, and I'm actually just going to open the user module again, and it's going to ask me for my username and password. And then we click on OK. Now, obviously, if it doesn't ask you for that password when you initially go into the software, you need to clear that login details for it to ask you for that. Okay, so now I'm logged in as my K user, and I can carry on and do whatever I need to do there. Now, the other thing that you could also do then is set up your filter groups, like I say, later on. You can set up your lookup groups there, but that we can all discuss in the other video. So the other thing that you're going to do then is perhaps set access rights for this user. So let's say, for argument's sake, I may access the Blue Man, and I can go and add employees, and or I might actually not even be able to add any information or update any of the screens there. I can simply go into the Browse Employee screen. I can go and set the access per window for what this user is allowed to see. So if I press, there's a shortcut that says Control F8. That'll allow you to obviously set the user access rights. Now, because I am an operator, you'll see then when I press Control F8, it said to me I may not go and set any access for this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to close this. Again, let's just go to the user module. I'm going to close all this information, and I'm actually going to log in again. Now, my configuration module, I was logged in as a demo user, so I'm simply going to open the user module again, and I will be logged in as demo. Okay, so in this case now, if I go back to my Blueman and I go and specify the add button, let's say, and I click on the screen and say Control F8, it'll come up with the access rights for that screen. So I can specify that this user may access the screen or may not even access anything. If they may access it, may they set any other information in there. So you'll see then those lists that are here would usually then link up with whatever your links are here on the left hand side. So you can specify whether they may have access to that screen or change any information on that screen there. So as I said, per screen, I mean even with the Blueman, if you click on the screen, press Control F8, it'll come up with a list of access rights that pertains to this window then, the Browse Employees windows. So any window that you're on, simply click on it, press F8, and you can set it. Now obviously that if you've got multiple users, that's going to be quite a tedious job. If you need to go and set each user to allow them certain access for certain windows. So let's say you've got a admin group that you need to give all the users that are in that group, you need to go and give them certain access rights. What you can do is set up a user group then. So what you would do then in that case is go back to your tools, go back to Browse Users, and you'll see at the bottom here it says Maintain User Groups. So if you click on that one, you can go and add your own user groups here. So in this case, let's say we've got a admin group, and we're going to leave them. They are operators, and they can have all access initially, because you're going to go and specify which screens they may not access. So it depends also on, is it a case of them not being able to access most of the things? Because then you would rather set it to no access and just go and set the individual screens that they may see. Or else is it a case that you only want to disable, 2 or 3 screens that they may not see? Then you would obviously give them all access initially and just go and disable those, 3 or 4 screens that you don't want them to see. So it depends on what, balance out. Obviously, it's 50-50 either way. It's going to be some work for you to initially set that up. Okay, so I'm going to leave it on all access. Click on OK, and we'll have that user group then added to the system. Now once that is added, you can actually go and specify that the new user that you've added is part of that group. So now I've set that up. I'm going to go back to my user and I'm going to change that user, and you'll see that you can specify whether they are part of the admin group or not. So now in this case, if I go and set this user part of the admin group, if we close the screen, let's go back to our Browse Employee screen for argument's sake, and we press Control F8, you will see then that you now see the group. So I don't see my user anymore, I see the entire group. Obviously, if there are individual users that don't belong to a group, you will see their names in the screen too. But now I can go and set everybody that's going to belong to the admin group, I can set their access rights for them. So that's a quick and easy way if you've got 5 operators or whatever that you need to set there. And that's how simple it is to set up your access rights. Obviously, like I say, various screens you would go into and just check them, press F8. Make sure that you just select the screen first before you press F8 to ensure that that window is in focus for you to set those access rights there. It's pretty simple. I hope that you've at least learned something that you will go forth and set up access rights and new users for your system. Hope you will join me next time. Goodbye.